My name is Deep Digger Dan, and I'm here today at Radnor High School, investigating its waste distribution in classrooms. Alright, this is our first can. Let's take a look. So in this can, for plastics and cans, we've got some papers, plastics, and cans made of aluminum. But also in this can, we have trash fragments. Now this is what makes this bin unusable for recycling. As we examine the contents of these bins, we can tell that the contents are fairly interspersed, with trash correctly placed, but also plastics and paper. Now this trash is also interspersed among the plastic cans and paper bins. Let's take a look at the paper, for example. We've got plastics, which should not present much of a problem because of the single stream trash recycling. We've also got trash and food particles, which are the main problem for this. These cause what most custodians call a nightmare. Over the course of our investigation, these three bins have been the three bins that most exemplified the best standards for waste distribution in classrooms. Now this paper bin is filled mostly with paper. The plastic and cans bin, likewise, filled only with plastic and cans. However, if these two were interchanged, it would cause not much of a problem for the janitors, who are told it is okay if these two are interchanged because of Radnor's single stream recycling. Now, however, the trash cannot be in these two, which it is not, which this is a fine example of a good standard for waste distribution in classrooms. The trash bin in the hallway was by far the worst, with normal trash items, plastic and cans, and a load of papers. This bugger was not very recyclable. The contents of the hallway plastic and cans bin were far better than the trash. As you can see, they were mostly plastics. However, a few trash articles made it into the bin. Now the paper bin was very good, with mostly papers and only a few misplaced articles. Now this bin would have been recycled. Oh, hello down there. My name's Deep Digger Dan, and welcome to day 2 of my investigation of Radnor's waste distribution in classrooms. Today, we'll be revisiting the same locations as before to investigate whether the contents have been properly distributed. Emptying the contents of this bin, I found that the results were even worse than yesterday's. In this paper and plastic recycling bin, the major contents of the bin were trash, including food particles and styrofoam plates. The rest were papers and plastics. A custodian would have no choice but to throw out all the contents of this can. Day 2 of the investigation in the English wing. Here we go. Now here we have a prime example of poor waste distribution. As you can see in the paper bin, there is virtually no paper, only a single sheet, and the rest is all trash items. The cans and plastic contains mostly plastics, however a few food articles were found, including this cheese stick. The trash bin was very fair, containing mostly only trash and food items. The contents of the trash bin in the hallway were very good this time, with only a few misplaced items. However, the majority of the items correctly made it into this bin. The hallway's plastic and cans bin was fairly good as well, with all the plastic and cans in. However, a few liquid-filled and trash items did make it inside. The paper bin contained mostly papers, and a few plastics which would not have affected how the paper was treated. However, it did contain food items, including a whole bag of popcorn. The The contents of the trash and paper bins were so off place that they could have been switched. The trash contained mostly papers and a few trash, while the paper bin contained entirely trash items. Our investigative research has led us to some interesting conclusions. Of the 22 bins that we thoroughly examined, only 7 had contents that were properly distributed. And of the 8 visits that we made, only 1 location had proper distribution for 1 day. Plastics, cans, and papers can be intermatched together and present no problem for waste distribution. However, when trash and food particles make their way into the wrong bins, it presents a problem for custodians who are not permitted to reach in and redistribute the misplaced trash. Recycling containers that are heavily contaminated by trash items can no longer be recycled, and they make their way to fill up the landfills. Improving Radnor's environmental footprint starts with you.